Hello, everybody, and welcome again to this TrueFire Live broadcast. Thank you so much for your patience and hanging in with us. There are certain things that we can't control, the internet being one of them. We wish we had Al Gore's number. He could have lent a hand, but hopefully we figured it out. Hang tough. This is going to be a crazy show for you. So today, as you know, we have Matt Scofield, we have Jeff McErlain, we have Josh Smith. But this is all about celebrating two rock amplifiers. And we also have a special guest appearance by Eli Lester, who owns, runs, designs these amplifiers. He's going to tell us all about them. We get every time one of our two rock artists come in and do a session, and they do their thing in the two rock, and we usually do a live there. We get a million questions about these amplifiers, and we have dug really, really deep. We've learned a ton about them. We can't answer all your questions about how they're engineered, why they're engineered in a way, but guess what? Today, you're going to have Matt, Jeff, and Josh to give you the artist perspective of it, but you're also going to have Eli, and it's such a great story. Let me tell you what we're doing this month, then I'm going to turn it over to Matt and Eli. So we're running this Summertime Blues, all for 30 days this month. It's all about the blues, and our big prize pool is a two rock 100-watt classic reverb signature head, and a two rock 2x12 cabinet. So a couple of very lucky TrueFire students are going to walk away with one, or who knows, both of those two rock pieces of gear. And but throughout the month, and to enter the drawing, all you have to do is show up, just check in, no nonsense, no purchase necessary kind of a thing. You can earn additional entries every day. You can learn more about, we've got Blues Chronicles by Reverend Robert Jones. It's a new video every day, kind of chronicling the history of the blues from its acoustic roots to its electrification. There's blues licks of the day. There's curated blues collections, and the highlight of the month you're about to experience right now, which is 3 TrueFire artists that are also two rock artists. I'm going to tell you all about their two rock amplifiers, and I'm going to turn it over to Matt. Matt, you know more about it than I do, and you've got Eli, who knows it from the ground up. Tell the story.
Yeah, man. Well, I've been using two rock since 2005. Actually, I was a diehard Fender Super Reverb guy for all of my career. I had one Fender Super Reverb, and I did every gig in my first couple of records just through that amp. And then as I started touring further and wider, it was a 1964 amplifier, and you're like, man, be nice if I could find something that was new, that I would dig as much as this, So the hunt was on, and I was on tour in the Netherlands actually, and went to Haar Guitars, Eric van der Haar's place there, and because I'd been hearing about these two rock amps, and checked one out, and ended up buying it just right then and there. I was like, okay, this is the one. So that was 2005. Brought it back from the tour in Holland, and then that became my main touring and recording rig for the next 5 years. That was it was an original custom reverb, which is a bit of a classic these days, And so then I headed to the US for my first US tour was 2010, and I came out and had been in touch with Mac Skinner, who is now Eli's partner in Two Rock. Mac was working for them from back then, and I was playing in San Francisco down the road from these guys, and he said, hey man, we got an amp we'd love for you to try out, and he came down to the gig, and so they said, "Oh, take it on the rest of the tour." It was like first week of my first US tour in 2010, so I got to know Mac, and then somewhere along the way, on that same tour, I can't remember where. Did I meet you at the Two Rock shop, or was it a gig, Eli? I don't remember where the first time, but I met Eli, and he was a Two Rock artist as well himself, you know, at the time. And so we ended up jamming together, and then he would come and sit in at my gigs, and we just became friends anyway, and that all carried on until, well, I'll have Eli tell you. What year was it? 2016 that you you took over the situation? Yeah.
Yeah, beginning of 2016.
Yeah, so it'd been through, when I first met Mac, it was Bill and Joe, K&M, right? That were the guys, Bill Crenard being the designer, and Joe being sort of operations guy, right, at the time, you know. And so then there was a little changeover right around the time I did a signature amp in 2012 that came out, and we all did a big launch at NAMM, and including Eli playing on that, but long before we ever thought that you would be the future owner of the company, right? So you were an artist as well, right? So
yeah,
and you would road test stuff as well, right? On the
yeah, that's how my relationship with everything started. Is you know, I was touring at the same time as you were, and became great friends with Bill and Joe, and Bill would give me the prototypes and all the one-off amps and say, take this on the road and give me feedback on it, and I would come back and say, it needs a little bit of this, needs a little bit of that, and just worked a great relationship, the two of us. And then in that time became with Max Skinner, which, as you know, is kind of the salt of the earth, one of the best humans out there, and just kind of kept going the relationship. And then it went through some incarnations. In 2016 Mac and I kind of got first right of refusal to buy the company, and we did, and we brought Bill back to do our design and engineering, and we're all great friends, and it's been a really fun time.
And I've got to say, from an artist perspective, so this is the absolute truth. I loved my Two Rock, and of course it traveled. All of them that I've ever had traveled much better than the old Fender. I didn't have to worry about maintenance. Playing a 64 Super Reverb on tour is like driving a vintage car every day, and you just have to stay on it. And but I would those early amps were amazing sounding amps, but I'd still get home and do a local gig, and I'd take the old Super Reverb out, and I'd be like, there's nothing like this old amplifier, there's nothing like it. And then when I got the classic Reverb, this one behind me here, that was kind of that was your flagship model when you took over, right? That was the real. It still is the flagship model to me. So I took that out on a tour, and I got home and I did the same as always. I had a local gig, and I took out the old Super Reverb, and I was like, "Damn, he's done it! It sounds better than the Fender." And I said, for the first time ever on a gig, I was like, I missed the Two Rock, and so I got to say, for like 3.5 years now, I've just been. I haven't even taken the Fenders out. It's
so Matt, there's a in the live chat, and we encourage everybody, ask whatever questions you want. There's never been a better opportunity to get the scoop on Two Rock than during today's show. So please, we'll answer every question. The first question that we have up there is from Roman's Legion. He asks, so what's the deal with these amps, right? And I think the best way to start to answer that is, can you play us something? Let's hear how it sounds. Right?
Yeah.
And Eli, stick with us, man. Just stick with us the whole show so you can help answer whatever questions come in. Cool?
Sounds great.
Yeah, man. Well, so this is the classic Reverb Signature, which is my main touring amp now for the last going on 4 years, I think. So it's like the best Fender blackface that you never heard, So it has all the things that, for the guys like me, that's Super Reverb guy, that made you think of a of a great blackface Fender, but actually it's its own thing at this point. You know, it's just a big, bold, rich. I mean, it's, you know, it's got that clean, dirty thing, so it stays 100 watts, so lots of headroom. But I use it even in a you know, if I do a local thing, take it out with a 1x12 cabinet and run it on 100 watts. Don't get told to turn down because all the frequencies are extremely pleasing. That's again, I'm just telling you the truth about this one. So single channel amp. It's not got you know, there's some options on the front, but it's not as complicated as somebody might fear. It's just you know, volume, gain, and master. You know, and then EQ. There's a little bit of reverb, wonderful sounding reverb, and there's a couple of, you know, gain options. In fact, the tracks that we've done for this, I've got used in a couple of different ways on each track, so I'll explain when we run those, you know.
Yeah, let's do that now. All
right.
You know, obviously, you know, live streaming is not going to give you ideal you know, audio and video. So Matt, you put a few. Why don't you set up the first one? And
yeah,
Tommy,
which one are we playing first? Is the funky one? Is that coming up first, Tommy?
Yeah, let's do that one first.
All right. Okay, so the funky one is the classic reverb here on 100 watts, and there's no pedals on this other than I have my little delay slapback thing, but there's no overdrive pedals. This is just the amp on the middle gain setting with the bypass on it. There's a tone stack bypass, so it just, you know, fattens everything up, and bridge pickup of a Strat, which is hard to get it to sound fat. So this whole track is just a bridge pickup of my SVL here and the 2-Rock cranking. So.
Roll it, Tommy. All right.
Nice.
Well, that's a pretty good answer to that question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You guys ready for a few questions?
Sure.
Is the studio signature a good small option for the classic reverb signature? Eli, maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. It has a really similar feature set. It has the gain structures, one of the identifiable things on a classic reverb, which goes between the kind of a blackface kind of vibe all the way up to the two-rock front end to actually in the middle positions like Matt's signature model amp. But it's a 26L6. It's a solid live amp, so it holds up with the classic reverb really well.
Also, let's handle this one right out of the box. It's no secret that these are not inexpensive amplifiers, right? And explain what goes into these amplifiers that really make them distinctive from, let's say, more affordable amplifiers. Everyone would love to get a two-rock amplifier, but what is the secret sauce?
I mean, we hand build everything in house, so they're all hand built. There's no printed circuit boards in there. We use high-end components, so we have more parts in our amp than what a lot of guys sell their amplifiers for. We make everything in California, so it's more expensive, obviously, to build stuff here than building it overseas and having it shipped over. And you kind of get what you pay for.
I can attest to that as a somebody who's in normal times, pre our current situation, on the road for half the month, and this thing's going in and out the back of a van, and I've flown around with it in the flight case, in the original shipping case, the cardboard. I've traveled with it, and it just, it's a profession, particularly the 100-watt and the classic reverb. It's a real professional amp, and I find it strange people talking about the price of that one. They do, there's more affordable models from Two-Rock themselves if you don't need 100 watts, or if you don't, you prefer a lower output and things like that. But for me, it's like, this is my tool for my job, and I can't really put a price on that. It's like any, a great chef has expensive knives and expensive pans and stuff, or whatever it is that you do. If that's what you do, then you want the best version of that you can get. And then from a musical perspective, I'm just always inspired to plug into it, and that's worth something to me as well, is being excited about it, not worrying about reliability. And I've had zero problems, particularly since Eli took over as well. Eli and Mac, I've had zero issues on countless tours, and these things have been flown around the world. And so for me, it's, you pay a bit more up front on some things, but it's a Porsche 911, it's a Ferrari, it's a Rolex, it's like, so that's not for everyone. That's okay, and I have to do gigs through Backline sometimes as well, where it says Fender DeVille, and I can do that as well. But if you care about these things, then sometimes it's worth coughing up a bit.
Yeah. I think that's a great answer. There is, there's craftsmanship. The parts are all high quality. They spend a lot of time assembling these. But the best answer, I think, is it's a professional amp, and for a professional who is really picky about tone and durability and reliability. And that's what we hear from all the Two-Rock artists on our, that come in. We ask them, well, why? And they'll all say the same thing. And I'm sure the other guys today will say the same thing. And, unfortunately, you've got to pay for that level of quality, like you would a Porsche. I love that analogy.
It's, and nobody gets upset about, yes, you can get to where you need to go in a, Chevy Malibu or whatever. That's fine. No, but
a Malibu.
Yeah, nothing, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. but you know, I don't even own a car. But I put all my money into Two Rocks instead.
Yeah. Let's set up another one of your clips, if you would.
Yeah, what we got next? This the slow blues. It's long, but it's pretty good. I think. Hopefully,
If you say so yourself.
Yeah. One take last night, about 11 o'clock at night. One take.
But tell us how you set up the amp and the guitar.
What did I do? If it's the slow blues one, it's same guitar, same amp, but on the bottom gain setting, which is what I use 99% of the time actually on gigs. And then I'm just pushing it a bit with my Mad Professor Supreme Overdrive, just for a little push, because these are vintage style single coils in this. You know, they're don't have a lot of output. And then I'm just using, but I'm not turning the pedal on and off. I'm just using the volume control on the guitar. So the whole thing is very, everything works together very nicely. You know, so very dynamic and well, you'll see. Let's see what it sounds like.
Hearing is believing. Roll it, Tommy. Guess you were feeling it late last night, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't do that in the daytime. You know?
So let me do a little bit of quick housekeeping here. I also want to, again, thank everyone for their patience and hanging in while we had some glitches at the beginning of the show. But we're happening now. I want you, if you would, to check out the links underneath the video. Okay. And by the way, on your way over to those links, do you see that thumbs up little thingy under the video? Just click that on your way to show your love and appreciation for Matt and Eli and all the guys that have gotten together today to do this presentation. Just click that thumbs up. The first link is a check-in and it's a tip jar, right? So just for checking in, you're entered in a drawing today. We're going to give away a $100 TrueFire gift card, and you can buy all of Matt's courses with that $100 and have money left over for Josh and Jeff. So your check-in is free. It's easy. Just pop over there, click the link, boom. You also have an opportunity, and look, we know times are tough for artists, and we know that times are tough for everybody else too. So, you know, don't feel compelled to give a tip, but if you can afford one, 100% of that tip is going to go to whichever artist you tipped. Below that is the link to Summertime Blues. And for some of you that joined us late, you can win a 2-Rock 100-watt amp, the one actually that Matt is playing right now, and a cabinet. Entry is free, no monkey business, no purchase necessary. Just go over to TrueFire's, Summertime Blues landing page. You can earn, just for showing up on a daily basis, you can earn entries. And there's a bunch of other, cool, fun, educational ways to earn additional entries. Underneath that link are links to Matt's courses. Can we show that on the screen? One will take you to Matt's educator page on TrueFire. Holy mackerel, man. You got all these 5-star reviews. You must have a big family chiming in. Huh?
It's all my mom.
So we started off, Matt, the first one was Blues Speak. Tell people just a little bit about what Blues Speak is all about, that first masterclass we did together.
Yeah, I mean, that one really covers my entire concept of playing music and specifically the blues, I tried to take it from one note up from there, so it's a conceptual or it's a set of conceptual lessons. I'm not really a put your fingers here kind of guy. I would try to get to the root of how to express yourself through the instrument, and be free to do that, build a vocabulary, and so there's hopefully stuff for people of all levels in that one. It's there's lessons on phrasing and tone and timing and things to show you how you can make great music out of a simple vocabulary. You don't need to know a lot of hot licks to sound great, or to have people want to listen to you play, is to engage listeners. So hopefully it can help you with that. That's really what I was.
Yeah, and the way I love the curriculum you brought in. You talk about a concept or a creative approach or a technique, and then you designed a performance study that applies that technique or concept. Of course, everything is tabbed out. You can do the slow-mo thing. You can loop it. You can, slow it down.
You get the same backing tracks I just played to, actually. They're both from the first Blue Speak course.
Yeah, and that one went, as they used to say in my day, #1 with a bullet, right out of the cannon. And then we did, during that first session, I don't know if you remember this, but during that first session we did a live broadcast right from the studio, and a bunch of people were chiming in like they are now, saying, hey man, could you do something on how you play the changes? So you came back in and we did Blue Speak playing the changes. Likewise went #1 with a bullet. So, if you dig Matt's playing, you you dig the blues, you want to learn more, dig deeper, on whatever level, technique, conceptual. I love the conceptual approaches, and have some great performance studies to work with, as well as great backing tracks. I would absolutely recommend both of these Blues Speak courses, and we're cooking up some more goodies down the road once things return to normal.
Yeah.
Housekeeping wise, keep those questions coming. We're going to get Eli, Matt, and the rest of the guys to answer all of them today. But we want to shout out to all of you who have chimed in from around the world. Seth, do you want to do that geo shout out for us?
Yeah, sounds good, man. People from all over. We've got St. Louis, Atlanta, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Detroit, Seattle, Northern Arkansas, Venice Beach, California, Chicago, Wales, San Diego, France, New Hampshire, San Rafael, California, Columbus, Ohio, Warren, Ohio, Las Vegas, Cornwall, UK, Nottingham, UK, Bogota, Colombia, Mannheim, Vancouver, Brazil, Italy, Jefferson, North Carolina, Pasadena, Ann Arbor, Austin, Texas, Reno, Nevada, Maui, Annandale, Virginia. All chiming in today.
Very cool. Thank you, Seth. All right, let's get Eli back in the mix and have Matt and Eli answer some of these questions. You guys ready?
Sure.
All right. So I love this question. This one is, it seems that John Mayer put the company on the map. And while that's probably true to some degree, I think it's guys like Matt and Josh and Jeff McErlain that actually put you guys on the map. Those players, attracted my attention to Two Rock for sure. Do you find people compare any type of Two Rock amp tone to his amp tone as the standard?
Yeah, I mean, John was one of the first large artists to play, our amplifiers on big stages. So we do get that comparison a lot. He still plays his signature model amp, and his guitar player, David Ryan Harris, who's a great friend of ours, plays a couple classic Reverb signatures now. We do have an amp called the Traditional Clean, which has a very similar feature set to what the John Mayer amplifier had. So if you're kind of chasing that tone, but it's kind of a Two Rock clean tone. That was based off of our original amp called a Custom Reverb. So that's kind of the big, loud, clean amp with reverb. That's that Two Rock thing that we try to go through. So people still ask for that, and you can kind of achieve that tone with almost any of our amplifiers.
Yeah, I could say just quickly that in touring, these guys always make sure I've got a rig wherever I am in the world for the most part when they can. And with the local distributors, they're all really cool about supporting us like that. I have done a gig in the last 2 years through every single one of the current model Two Rocks, and I'm perfectly fine with doing a show through any. They all have that sound, which is kind of its own thing at this point to me, So I've used the TS1 for a tour, I've used the Bloomfield for a tour, I've used the traditional, the Sterling, and the classic reverb is my go-to. But I'm fine with it's all like which flavor of the brand of ice cream that you like, but it all has that signature kind of thing, So.
Well, someone else is asking, you mentioned the Mike Bloomfield. He wants to know what differentiates the Michael Bloomfield Two Rock from the signature and classic reverbs you all are talking about here.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually not Mike Bloomfield. Bloomfield Drive is a road right next to the shop. So we started the Burnside amp. Burnside is a road that intersects down that way. So we started using street names. But the Bloomfield Drive is a 2-channel cascade and gain stage amplifier, on opposed to the classic reverb is a single-channel amplifier that you can push into a lot of overdrive tones. The Bloomfield is a 2-channel amp with reverb.
So you're saying Bloomfield is a street, not the Michael Bloom. That's funny. Well, we cleared that one up.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Eli, myself. I love the Two Rock story of you being a Two Rock artist. you going out and playing Two Rocks. You and Matt have played together and known each other for years. Then you would do a lot of design tweaks. I mean, you have like a real world experience with the amplifier. And then, the opportunity presented itself for you to, basically take over the company and manifest a lot of the design ideas that were in your head to bring it to its current state of like coolness and greatness. How do you think that background, experience helped you, kind of developed a line that made so many other artists very happy with it?
As a player, I've, toured with these amps for so many years before, working as hands-on as I had. So, as Mac mentioned, we're all, big blackface Fender, geeks. So it's like, well, I have to have the sparkle of a blackface Fender, and I want the low end of a Marshall Plexi from time where it gives up. So there's, we all collect vintage guitars and amps, and we're so obsessed with it that it's not really a job. None of us work. If we weren't building amplifiers at home, we're just for work. We're building them at home and tweaking on amps. On our days off, we're still playing with vintage tubes and pickups and all that stuff. I'm fortunate that, we have a killer team that makes us look really good. Max Skinner's, my partner, and he oversees every aspect of the production. We have Bill Kernard, who's one of the, best amp designers of, I think in my generation that I'm talked to every day on, anyways, helping with us and, bouncing ideas off of each other. So, it's not uncommon for us to build an amplifier, get it done, and then sign off on it. I go and I take it for a few gigs, and I come back and go, oh, we have to change these parts in it. Let's pull them out of the box. So it's an evolution that we're always trying to get that extra little. It's kind of a step below Dungeons and Dragons.
Gotcha. So, and we're talking about, kind of it's the pros amp, and we've talked about some of the artists that are Two Rock artists. Would you mind listing some of the other professionals that are Two Rock artists?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great over the last few years to build a relationship with Eric Johnson, and work with his amplifier rig. And
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he has a very discerning ear. So he's one of the guys that can go, this tube sounds like this, and this resistor sounds like this, so we can tweak things out the way that he wants it. Doyle Bramhall, Joey Landreth, Adam Miller. We have so many great musicians that we get to play with, to bounce ideas off of. And that's one thing we could do is we give them to them, they take them, and they give us feedback. So we really use them as our barometer of what it needs and what it doesn't need.
We have also at TrueFire, Osnoy is a Two Rock artist. Corey Congilio, of course. The list, if you go to 2-rock.com/artists, you'll see a pretty impressive list of players who are absolutely known for their kind of gear freakiness and, superb tone. Very impressive. Can you take a couple seconds and, give us an elevator pitch across the line of Two Rock, like, the various options we might have amplifier wise. And someone wants to know if you're ever going to come out with a 5-watt version.
Possibly. We have, an 18 to 20, 35-watt Burnside amp, which is kind of a, Tweed inspired amplifier. And that's good price point, good amp. And then we have, the Studio Signature, which is a smaller amp. Corey Congilio just did a great video on how that amp works. It's a smaller unit, 35 watts. And then, we have the traditional clean, which, all of our amps, larger amps come in 100 watts, switchable to 50 watts, 50 watts with a cathode fixed switch on the back of it, or 40 watt switchable to 20. And then it goes up to, the Bloomfield Drive and TS1 if you want to get overdrive channels. If buffered effects loop is important to you, the new TS1 has a buffered effects loop in it. That's an overdrive amp. And then we have the Silver Sterling Signature, which has been an amp that Bill and I have been playing with for a solid decade, which is that how loud of a clean amp you can get without any breakup, and harmonically rich, pretty amp. So we try to cover as many bases as we can.
You're doing an unbelievable job over there, man. Hey, Matt, what about another clip? Do you have another clip prepped for us?
Yeah, that's actually the perfect segue, because the next clip is using the Silver Sterling Signature. So,
awesome. And we just showed that on the screen as well.
Yeah, this is the 150 watt. And so I thought it was probably right to do a Texas shuffle in E with this amp,
Right.
because that's very much its lineage, its inspiration is that kind of big clean Texas sound, right? So yeah, so this is the Sterling 150.
Cool. Tommy, Seth? Oh yeah. So if the slow blues, if you did the slow blues last night at midnight, I'd have to say that's probably about 1:32 in the morning. That one. Right?
I was getting there actually.
Matt, thank you so much, man, for all the prep work and the time and the feedback. Everyone, one, I'm going to wait for you. Go over to that thumbs up and show a little bit of love there and check out his 2 existing TrueFire courses, Blues Speak, the master class, and Blues Speak, Playing the Changes. Plus, coming to a screen near you real soon, Matt We have the In the Jam thing that you
Yeah.
did, which is just crazy.
That backing track is from the In the Jam, actually.
Incredible backing
Oh, yeah.
tracks. And you'll get to literally jump in the jam with Matt, and he'll comp for you. He'll comp for you. He'll solo over your comp. Just a great job on that. And you also have a rhythm course coming up
Yeah.
very shortly too. So, and then we've got some other projects in the hopper. So we're going to keep doing this thing until people cry uncle, right, Matt?
Yeah, keep at it, man, you know.
So, Eli, you stay with us, okay? Because we're going to bring Jeff McErlain into the live thing. And Matt, thank you so much, man. Finish that beer.
Yeah, I'm going to get it now, man. Yeah.
It was, it was fantastic, and we really appreciate it. We
Thanks,
really,
everyone. I appreciate the support from TrueFire. And
hey, I've seen you twice this week.
yeah, I know, man.
That's more than when we're in the normal world.
Exactly.
You take care of yourself, okay?
You too. Cheers, folks. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
All right,
Matt.
man. All right. So, Eli, we've got Jeff McErlain now. And Jeff actually was the first one of our artists to turn me on to TrueRock. And, he is, he's a gear fanatic.
Yeah.
And, anything that Jeff tells me about a guitar, an amplifier, a pedal, it's like the absolute gospel. There he is, man.
Hey guys,
Streaming live from Brooklyn. Yeah.
in the house.
Man, you've been busy, man. You've been all over the place. YouTube,
I have.
channeling, courses, unbelievable, man.
You guys are keeping me busy too.
We are indeed.
Thank you.
It's good to be busy, you know.
I am so grateful. I can't even begin to explain how grateful I am to be busy.
I know, man. So you've got so many cool things happening. We will talk about that in a minute. But we have really an incredible surprise guest, Eli from TrueRock.
What's up, Eli?
Is hanging with us today and helping to answer, any questions that come in the door. We've gathered a ton of them, and we'll get to them. But, why don't you start talking about your TrueRock experience, and then have you prepared some clips for us too?
I have, yes, of course.
Okay. I turn it over to you, man.
All right. Well, my first TrueRock experience was actually at NAMM. And I didn't know much about the company except Matt, and Matt and I were sort of becoming friends at that point. And I stopped by the TrueRock booth, and Eli was there, and my friend, fellow TrueFire guy James Hogan was with me. And we were just checking out the classic Reverb signature, and then Eli and I hit it off, and we stayed in contact. And I didn't really kind of reach out. I was using Marshalls, which I'm, still known, my super lead there that I've been playing for years. And then, honestly, I started doing some stuff with Robin Ford, and he had his Dumble, and I just felt like the Marshall was just not blending well at all with the music. As much as I love the Marshall, it was just a little too aggressive in that situation, and so I was looking for something different. And then I spoke to Eli, and they sent me the classic Reverb signature to check out, and that was kind of it. I was completely sold. What I loved about it is all those things that you hear people talk about that you don't really know until you experience. It all sounds like I'm this excited about the amps because they really changed the way I play, because they're as much a part as the guitar as they are. When I play an amp that isn't quite up to the standards, like my old Marshall is there. Like this is, but that standard, if you play another amp, you're like, oh yeah, it's cool, until you you play one of these, and then you feel like, oh, I get that other level of expressiveness the amp allows me to have. And all my guitars sound completely different. Whereas certain amps, you plug it in, like my Les Paul sounds like a Les Paul, but through these amps, I really hear the differences, between like the subtle differences. So they're a total pleasure to play. And that's how it started, and Eli and I hit it off, and then, we took it from there, and then told my friends about it too, like Corey, and it's just, I couldn't be happier, And I have two different models. So some of the clips that we have, I have the classic Reverb signature and also have a Bloomfield Drive, which is a 40-watt one. So one of the clips I put in, which is a little more rockin'. So I don't know what Josh was playing today, but I know Matt's using this a lot. And when Matt's in New York, when he's in the East Coast tours, he borrows mine when he's up here. So I just wanted to do a few clips of the Bloomfield Drive too. So
yeah, so I remember, man, because you and I, you and TrueFire, we've been working together for many years, right?
Yeah.
I was just a kid. I think you were in your early 30s.
I think I was
a teenager back in the day, but you have always been kind of my gear sensei.
Okay.
Know? And, whatever you tell me to buy or do, I buy or I do, right? And you'll be happy to hear that we have a Rock on order that Eli is going to personally inspect and make sure it holds up muster, but which is great because that way, instead of Eli having to ship the amps in and out, we'll have our own collection of Rock there in TrueFire Studios. But I mean, we're a heavy like Marshall guy, right? And then when you started doing all that stuff with Robin, you got to play that Dumble all the time. And then I remember you calling me and telling me about the Rock thing, and boom, it was like overnight, right?
Overnight, yeah.
It's like going from black and white to color. I remember you saying that. And so I'm just thrilled that, like everything has come together. We've connected with Eli, love him. This is a great celebration this month to, share what's been going on. So why don't you, actually, one of the questions was when people compare, Eli, you take this on, because a lot of people do compare the Dumble to the Rock, right? So talk about that.
I mean, Dumble's, obviously a great amp designer, and we pulled a lot of influences from him over the years. All of his amps were different, so we don't make a necessarily Dumble clone because all of his amps were different. But he was one of the original boutique guitar amplifier builders back in the 70s. So we don't have a Dumble clone. We have kind of a culmination of all of the great Dumbles that we've played, over the years. We work on a lot of them. A lot of our friends and artists have them. So we get, it's definitely inspired by, but I think we've been able to find our own kind of niche in the market of our own Rock kind of sound.
Yeah. And, you and I were talking before, for me, you absolutely have your own sound, but it's that Dumble mystique, that boutique, that real boutique. Like there's a lot of pedals and a lot of amps that are, quote, boutique pedals or boutique amps. But, there's an authentic boutique vibe. And I think you've captured that with your product line. Clearly, I mean, you just hear the artists talk about it, So anyway, thank you for answering that question, which was posted. And Jeff, why don't you set up one of your clips? Tell us what you were playing through and set up the clip and we'll play it.
Sure. I'm playing my 64 Strat on this clip through the classic Reverb signature. And I had overdriven just a little bit, but I was people often ask me, like, does it make a good pedal platform? And it absolutely does. And that's one of the ways when I use it in New York sometimes where I can't quite get to the volume where I want to be with this amp. I will often use it as a great pedal platform. And with the switches, it takes pedals great. So the first tune, most of the drive, it's pretty rockin'. And it's largely from pedals and except for the rhythm part in the top where I have the amp pushing a little bit. So let's check it out. It's called It's Your Groove, and it's on my record now.
Roll it, Seth. Jeff
Nice.
McErlain. Whoa.
Sorry, I was flying Jeff's course online real fast.
Unbelievable.
Thanks.
That's off the album, that track?
Yep, and that's the other guy is some other guitar player. That's Robin on the other track.
Yeah. So, could someone put a link to the album? Talk a little bit about. Well, there we go. I think we're showing it.
Oh, cool.
Talk about the album. Plug yourself, man.
I'm gonna plug with it. That's an album called Now that I did with Robin Ford. I'd have to run out of the picture to get my copy. Robin and I've been friends forever, and we actually met at TrueFire. So, right. And we just became friends and hit it off, and he's one of my best friends now. This is kind of a crazy thing, and we did a lot of teaching together, and he just called me up one day and said, "Hey man, let's do a record together." So after I kind of picked my jaw up off the floor, I said, yeah, let's do it. And this is one of the tunes that we jammed on. That was an older tune. It's actually in my first record, but I had written it in that kind of Miles Davis, which I love that period of like, We Want Miles and Star People and Schofield, John Schofield and all that, and Agartha and all the heavy 70s stuff. And we had played it a bunch of times on some gigs that we had done prior to recording. And he's like, let's just do that tune. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do that tune. So there you go. It's called It's Your Groove. So.
Well, you've got, you'll see this later, maybe if you watch the on-demand thing, a lot of fans on here from all around the world. And of course, a ton of TrueFire fans who have worked with. How many courses have we done together?
I think we're at 33.
Yep, and a couple in the can, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we started way back in the days of the mezzanine, no control room, no air conditioning, hot lights. But man, we have watched, we watched each other grow over the years, you know?
Sure. And together too, I feel, you know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
I can say a lot of I went Robin to you guys, you know what I mean? And that just took its own life and everything like that.
Yeah. So Robin called us, Robin called up one day and said, "Hey man, would love to do like one of those things you did with Larry Carlton." Right. And I was floored, just like you were floored when he asked you to do the thing.
Sure.
And so the first person I called was Jeff. Right. And I said, "Man, listen, Robin wants to come in and do a course. You've got to help us co-produce that first one." And you did, and you came down for the sessions. And you guys have been, best friends ever since, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize, from TrueFire world, while, you definitely focus on the blues, and largely the entire library is very blues focused.
Sure.
You're a rock player, you're a progressive player. As someone said in the chat, you can pretty much play it all. So it was really, I'm glad you chose that clip to show off.
Sure.
The rock amplifier. What other clip do you have for us?
I have one more with the classic Reverb, and that one's called Marta. And it's a ballad, so I thought we could show off what the amp sounds like. It's pretty much straight into the amp, a little bit of overdrive coming from the amp. And I think I might kick in a boost at one part of the solo, which is just to nudge it a little bit. That's pretty much all the amp on that track. And let's check it out.
Let's do it.
All right.
Sweet, man.
Thank you.
And what time of night did you record that clip?
Actually, it was the middle of the day.
Okay. Let's bring Eli back into the mix. I've got a bunch of questions for you guys.
Can I just comment one quick thing about the amp
Yeah.
that I want to point out is what I love with pedals and stuff, the amp has a ton of headroom. So it doesn't really break up unless you want it to. So that's really important to me, and especially if you're using pedals, like you can have a big clean platform and you have to worry about the amp sort of farting out on you. So one important thing.
Well, that's good because that actually is the first question from Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
Wants to know, does the headroom of the amp help with the clarity of effects?
Eli?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're already out of headroom in the amp, it doesn't matter what in front of it. If you're already clipping out the signal and you're done, it's just mush. And Jeff, you can contest to this. There's nothing worse than playing a show than being out of headroom. Nothing stresses me out more. So having that ability to have a lot of headroom is important. But the classic reverb that you're playing through has a very sensitive input stage in it, so it pedals very well. But you can push it to that point of almost overdrive, and then hit it with a boost pedal or just push it a little hard and lower your line control off. You get a lot of dynamic range out of just the input stage of that amp.
Yeah.
Cool. Eli, here's one for you. Can you talk about the speakers you use in your cabinets?
Yeah, this is another conversation Jeff and I have spent hours and hours going back and forth with. But speakers are such an important, cabinets and speakers are something that a lot of guys overlook when they're trying to, get the rig. And but we use a speaker that we call a 1265B, and we started with kind of the G1265, which was the very neutral, great sounding speaker that a lot of guys use. But there's always kind of an upper mid hump in them. What we did is we scooped the mids a little bit. We used a little bit thinner paper like a Jensen P12N to give it some sparkle on the top end. Bumped it up to 100 watts with a larger voice coil and magnet. Sometimes when you hit those with fuzz face or Octavia, you get that cone cry thing. So we put a lot of work into our speakers. Warehouse Guitar, WGS, manufactures them for us, and really proud and happy with the speakers. And you can buy them now on our website just as standalone speakers if you want to put them in an existing cabinet you already have.
Jeff, do you have anything to add? I know you're a big speaker.
Yeah, well, I love the speaker in the amp because the cone cry, things like that. I was used to use the greenbacks with the Marshalls, and sometimes I love them, and certain times you'd hit it with pedals and they would just kind of fart out and get that weird thing, which has its moments, but I really wanted the clarity in a speaker and one that could handle the headroom, and one where I could hear the amp as much as possible as opposed to the speaker, because the speaker is a huge EQ, really, when you're playing. So it makes an incredible difference in the amount of when you change a speaker. If people don't like their amp, as they say, why don't you change the speaker first? Sometimes that if you have a cheap speaker, it's going to make a huge difference. Or like deluxe reverbs, which are not my favorite amp, but if I change the speaker, I like them much better than the standard speaker. So I know you guys spend a lot of time. I didn't really kind of go off what you guys chose, because everything you've been doing, it's been suiting me perfectly.
I always tell guys, you get more. I notice more swapping speaker cabinets and speakers than I do a lot of times swapping amp heads out. Just getting that speaker changes the amplifier more, changing heads or guitars. It's a huge.
Eli, where did the name Two Rock come from? They want to know. Inquiring minds.
That is the city right next to us. If you look at the back of the amplifier, it says hand built in Two Rock, California.
Cool. And from Jason Carter wants to know the difference in sound do you get using, say, a Strat or a Les Paul? How do the amps respond to different guitars?
Do you want me to grab it, Eli, or you want to talk about it?
Guys, go for it.
All right, well, I like both a lot, and we've got some of the EQ switches on there, so you can flip those around a little bit to work really. There's a number of EQ situations that you can work with to make it work, and say almost better with each one or the other. One thing I was really happy about with the amp was I can make it sound a bit like a JTM 45, which is one of my other favorite amps, by using my Les Paul and flipping the mid switch up and boosting the gain a little bit. It becomes a very different sounding amp that way. And I also noticed if if you go to 50 watts, it's a bit of a different amp as well, because the way it reacts is really cool. But it's great for both, and which brings me sort of to the other amp, the Bloomfield Drive too, you know, which is a bit more, in my mind, a bit more of a rocky amp, if that's a good estimation, Eli. Yeah, and so I use that in the next clip. You can hear the Bloomfield Drive with the Grissom PRS, and I'm definitely channeling a little bit of David, because how can you not, you know, with playing that guitar? So, but I love both amps with the humbuckers and the Strats. But I think if you said like in a perfect world, this is like the perfect Fender amp to me. Strat, single coil, like it's one of those ones you plug it in and it just sounds amazing.
Cool. Well, let's roll that next clip.
Yeah.
Whoa. Also recorded in the light of day.
In the light of day, yeah. Well, yeah, yesterday. And that's the, well, I wanted to show you why I love the Bloomfield Drive so much, coming from a Marshall background, that that was just the amp, you know, and with the lead channel boosted. Oh wait, sorry, and a little bit of boost just for the very, very end, like when I wanted to get a little more legato stuff. But basically, that was the rhythm channel, the lead channel, and then I stepped on the boost, and then the amp boost, in other words, the bypass, and then nearly at the very, very end when I wanted to get the super sustain notes, I just hit a clean boost in front. So what I love about this amp, and I've just done gigs with this and a tuner, you know, which is, I think, the coolest thing about the amp. And I could do that with this. I know Matt could do a gig with this or the tuner, but I'm a bit more gainy than he gets at times. And I just found with this amp, I just bring that, and I've been totally psyched. You know, just that covers everything. I've got the reverb and
that answered Steven's question about the tone, the PRS straight into the Bloomfield or using a drive pedal.
Yeah,
So,
straight, like 90% of that was just in the very, very end when I'm just kind of having fun. That was maybe a little bit of clean, but that was about 75% just the amp. And that track is on my In the Jam, by the way.
nice. Very nice. So let's talk, if you would, about these TrueFire courses. Can you guys scroll through Jeff's educator page? And again, underneath the video, guys, as you go head over to these links I'm going to tell you about, please click that thumbs up, show your love and appreciation for Jeff and Eli for spending all this time with us. Jeff, I don't even know where I would tell somebody to start.
Just get all of them. Just get all of them.
Yeah, get all of them. And frankly, if you check in, if you use that first link, you have a shot at winning a $100 TrueFire gift card today. And you can also tip any of the artists performing, and 100% of those tips go right to the artists. And as you can imagine, they are very, very much appreciated given these challenging times. But there are links to Jeff's courses, his educator page. You'll get to everything from there. His Instagram, his website, his In the Jam, which is killer. And man, you've got a big YouTube thing happening. What's your YouTube channel?
YouTube / Jeff McErlain, and it's been fun. I just started doing when the lockdown happened, the Brooklyn lockdown series. I'd go in live for now every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and that's just kind of taken off. I've been overwhelmed. And on Saturday mornings, I've been just interviewing my friends. So I've had Robin came on, and David Grissom, and Matt. Josh is on this Saturday. He's coming on. We had Andy Wood, Angus Clark, Jason Laughlin, Scott Sherrard. So we're, got a bunch of great people lined up. And I think I conned you to coming on, didn't I?
You did.
I
You
did.
I'm
And
waiting.
Eli might come on, right? You talked to come on? That'd be fun.
I'll come on if and when
All right.
you want me to.
Of course.
But listen, there's a link to jeffmcrelain.com. That will lead to everything. And on TrueFire, Jeff's main educator page also leads to everything. So, get connected. And you will not be disappointed. So, Jeff, I am still working on Bird Out performance.
Well, I'm still working on my channel, so here we go. My channel is so close. I know we've talked about this forever. My channel is getting close, guys. I just got. You know what happened? Here's what happens.
No, what happens is you're a perfectionist. That's what happens.
That's what happens. Yeah.
That's cool, man. But I will tell you something about Jeff that you've gotten a little bit of a taste of today. When Jeff comes in and does a course, obviously he can blaze away. Okay. But when he presents material, he gives you the concept or he gives you the technique. And, you're one of the most tasteful players, in my book. And like Bird Out is a great example. There's nothing in there that, let's say, an intermediate player like myself can't find the notes, but it's getting that phrasing just right. Right. That's taken me, I don't know, what is it, 11 years now or something. I'm still working. Yeah. I'll get it one of these days. Please, if you haven't yet, and you've got a ton of fans here tuned in.
Thanks, everyone.
You go check out his TrueFire library, check out that In the Jam, check out his YouTube, check out, just get connected because he's got so many cool things happening that I'm sure you would like to be a part of. So check in, do a tip, check out Summertime Blues giveaway. We're, thanks to our friends and now partners at 2 Rock in this 30-day promotion, we're giving away the bomb, right? I mean, we are giving away, right, Eli? Would you say that this, if someone were to dream about a 2 Rock amp, would this be the one they'd want to get?
Yeah, it's definitely our flagship and our top seller, and we're really excited to do it. We're so happy so many of our artists work with TrueFire, and I've had a subscription for years, and we're just happy to be working with, especially in this trying time, to be able to help guys do something at home, and we're really excited and proud to be with you guys.
Well, we're thrilled, and guess what? Let me just see if I could find it in my. We have yet another TrueFire artist. Trey Alexander just got his Reverb and is thrilled about raving about it here. So, that artist list is growing. Couple really important questions. They want to know when the Jeff McErlain signature hat is going to be available to the general market. And Eli, I have something for you to your buddy. Where is it? Josh Smith wants to know basically why your hair keeps looking better and better and he keeps losing his. Can you explain that, please?
With some trade secrets we try to keep it straight. That's one we're gonna keep quiet on.
Yeah, I want to know that secret too.
Jeff, you were awesome, man.
Thanks,
What's
guys.
the next Jeff McErlain happening thing you want people to tune into? Just pick one thing, and we'll drive them there.
All right, my Brooklyn Lockdown tomorrow at 4 p.m. on my YouTube channel.
Go there, be there, be square. These lockdowns are killer, man. They're just killer. Straight from New York. You can't
straight from New York.
Guys down.
Yeah.
Cannot keep them down. Jeff, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Eli.
Awesome as always. We'll see you soon. We're bringing in to hang with us, Eli. We got Josh coming on.
Hey, Josh. Josh asked about Stanley. Stanley's downstairs. All right.
Later, man.
See you, buddy.
Thanks.
See you, Eli.
Thanks. All right. Josh Smith in the house. Josh, can you hear me yet?
He's coming in. Stand by.
He's coming in. There he is. He's connecting. He's almost here. He's appearing out of the vapor. Well, there's his studio.
Yeah, Josh,
Josh,
can you hear
you around? Eli, there he is. Can you hear me, man?
We don't have you on audio there yet.
Okay. So, Eli, talk about Josh Smith. Why don't you give an intro to him instead of me?
Josh is, he's actually one of my oldest friends outside of 2 Rock and guitar playing. He's just, we used to go to the NAMM show together back in the day, and I was doing, demos at various booths, and he was doing demo at various booths. So in between, we would hang out, and he's just a, great human and, phenomenal guitar player, and he's an inspiration. He's a great guy across the board.
He really is. We found him to be extraordinarily knowledgeable too, and he's got this great talent for being able to, convey some really sophisticated, approaches in a very accessible way. TrueFire students, he's relatively new to the TrueFire world, and he likewise, his stuff went,
Oh yeah, I see it in Pro Tools. I see it.
He's tuning in. It's great stuff, and we'll ask him to talk about some of these courses in a bit. What amplifiers does he play, Eli?
He plays a custom amp because.
Hey, 1 2 1 2.
There it is. Josh he was playing an amp of ours called the TS1, which is a very ODS inspired amp, and he wanted one with reverb in it. So we built him a kind of TS1 with reverb, and he wanted no master volume. He wanted just one volume coder to crank it up.
Really?
Yeah. So it's 100-watt loud amp, and that was kind of the predecessor to the Bloomfield Drive. because, you know, ironically enough, another one of our artists, Joey Landreth, came into his studio and was recording and was playing Josh's amp and said, I want one like that. And we all looked at each other and said, we're not doing that again. Because we were drilling holes in the chassis and added a couple extra tubes in it. So we said, let's make a model out of that. And that kind of started the Bloomfield Drive process.
You know, one of the other questions was, do you ever do factory tours?
Yeah, we do from time to time. With everything going on right now, we're obviously, you know, not doing any kind of factory tours or whatnot. But yeah, definitely reach out, and we're always glad to have people come by.
And Johnny Guitar posted, he has a Fender 65 DRR1 that I like a lot. And while I'm not a big pedal guy, I have a looking glass ahead because it doesn't have a gain knob. Does your Rock have a gain knob, he asks.
Okay. All right, I'll be closer to it.
Yeah, all of our amplifiers, with the exception of the Burns side, have a separate gain and master.
Okay. And Josh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Can you guys hear me?
We can now hear and see you.
All right.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. All's well out here, you know, California. It's hot, but everything's good.
Hey, the set looks beautiful. You've done a good job lighting everything, and you're in your studio, right?
I'm in my studio. Yeah, we did our little test last night. I got it looking great, sounding great, and of course we go live and then there's no sound.
Hey, listen, we started 30 minutes late because we couldn't get Restream to boot up. You know, you can't control everything, right?
It happens.
Anyway, thank you for joining us today. We've been live here with Eli. He's on with us today.
Yeah.
And
I'm watching the whole thing.
Matt Scofield did his thing. Jeff McErlain did his thing. And now we get you to do your thing. And usually how we've been starting, you've prepared some clips for us showing off some of the TrueRock things you do, right?
Yeah, I did 3 tunes like the other guys, each one with a little bit different sound. One using the gain from the amp, one using like my normal chain, my pedal that is the main thing in front, and then one using a fuzz in front with a different guitar, just so you could hear all the ways that I use the amp.
Cool. Tell it. All of the guys have been kind of kicking off with what drew them to TrueRock to kind of begin with. You know, tell us your story.
Well, I mean, like Matt, I guess, and a lot of the guys who grew up in my era, so many of my heroes played those mythical Dumble amps that, you know, we've tossed the word out a few times here tonight. And so I always thought, well, there's got to be something to this if Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Johnson and Robin Ford and Larry Carlton all play these amps. You know, I like all of them a lot, you know. So I was lucky when I moved to LA to finally get to play some real ones in the flesh. And then also shortly after I met Bill from TrueRock. This is before Eli was you know, the head in charge of the company. And, you know, we struck up a friendship and blah, blah, blah. And then Eli and I became friends outside of TrueRock. And I ended up playing this Dumble one time that a friend of mine owns. It's a very special one. And it stuck in my head for literally forever. And when Eli took over TrueRock, I just pestered him to death to make me something close. Like, I know exactly what I want. Can you do this? And it's a very special amp.
Yeah, you know, Eli and I have talked a lot about this Dumble comparison thing, and you know, somebody posted, and I really agree with that. And he said, "Is it cool for you guys to compare and contrast between TrueRock and Dumble? Is it even a relevant question?" And you know what? It's not a relevant question, but it comes up all the time. You know, Dumble is Dumble and TrueRock is TrueRock, you know, and the comparison that I would personally make is they both sound great. They're both professional amps. Okay. You know, or an amp for a pro, right? And they both have this, you know, kind of, you know, cachet about them, but you know, it's not, TrueRock is not about emulating, you know, a Dumble, right, Eli? Talk to that one more time.
Yeah, I mean, the Dumble amplifiers, they were all built for specific people. And we do a lot of that as well. I mean, Josh's amp is a specific amp that we built for Josh. A lot of our guys have amps, but we kind of took a culmination of all of the great Dumbles that we've had the opportunity to play and be in, and build what we think that sound kind of is. But it's definitely its own kind of thing. We've really kind of grown to have our own rock, tone and whatnot. But there's always going to be a comparison. I mean, we've, hold a high regard for Dumble and are obviously inspired by it.
Yeah, exactly. Well said, man. Josh, let's kick things off with a clip from you. We need to hear a little Josh Smith right now.
Okay, which one are we doing? So I can.
You set it up and tell us what you dialed in tone-wise and amp-wise.
Well, if we do Fulfillment, that's a tune from my Inception record. And on this one, you'll hear. Oh, never mind.
Wait a minute. You.
Oh, all right.
All right. Start again.
We're going to.
Well, listen. Hold on a minute. The thing is, I want to explain that all of the artists have recorded some clips so that we could capture, the best audio representation, which you cannot do, live for, obvious reasons. So go ahead and set up the one you want the guys to play.
All right, let's play Fulfillment. That's a tune from my Inception record. And in this one, I'm playing with the overdrive from the amp. So you're just hearing the overdrive channel in my custom TS1, the reverb from the amp straight in with my Telecaster.
And that's it. No other pedals or anything.
That's it. That's
all right. Seth, you got it. Yeah, sweet. That was off what album?
That's on my Inception album,
Yeah,
which is an instrumental record that I did.
very cool. Got a couple of questions for you guys. First from Dr. Stefan says, these two rock amps are just so great and so high end, unbelievable sound, and they seem to push a lot of air, right? Do they push a lot of air?
They push a lot of air. Yeah. But that's something that's important to me. You won't often see me at a gig, and it's not necessarily always about volume, but you won't see me at a gig with my smaller amps. Not that I don't love them, but headroom is a very, very integral part of my tone and me feeling comfortable. It's not always about volume. It's about clarity. It's about dynamic range, lack of compression, those type of things. So I'm always searching for amps that give me that, and the Two Rock has it in spades.
And we talked earlier with the guys about ample headroom in your Two Rock amps. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, more than enough. Again, it's like if I hit it with something, I don't want any dynamic range to be lost. I don't want over compression. I want just the amount of compression that I want, which is, for me, not very much. So headroom is crucial in having that available.
Cool. Steven asks you to compare and contrast your Morgan versus your Two Rock.
Well, to me, they fit in totally different worlds. The Morgan is, more of a straight up Fender amp. It has a different reverb circuit as well. And normally if I use the Morgan, I'm using it in conjunction with another Morgan that's more of a Vox, because I like a Vox and a blackface Fender thing together. The Two Rock I'll use a lot of times if I'm just going to use one amp. Also, the Two Rock has the overdrive channel, which of course none of the Morgans have. They're more vintage style amps. The Two Rock, the lineage of Two Rock and all that comes from a world where it's a very big sound. Mine is a little different than some of the stock ones, so I would say mine is maybe a little less hi-fi than some of the the ones that we've heard already today, but in a good way for me, because it gives me like splitting the difference between what I get with a Fender or Vox, where it takes pedals in a certain way and I know what it's going to do, and then giving me a little bit more of that extended top end, that fatter, tighter low end, and that extra amount of headroom.
Well said. Eli, you want to add anything to that?
It's hard to top that description. That's pretty perfect, Josh. Thank you. All of Josh's licks came in the amplifier. He could, barely play before he got it, and all his licks just came out all of a sudden, which was really nice.
Yeah. There's a switch on the foot switch that says built-in notes or external.
Well,
one thing we talked years ago was the lack of compression, and he's always trying to eliminate as much compression as he can in his signal. So his amp doesn't even have a master volume on it. He just has gain control to turn on the overall amp, because he's just kind of balls out. It's very large sounding, and it's a really unique, fun amplifier.
They're also asking about your EQ settings.
Yeah, so my EQ settings are, to get maximum top end without being strident and bright, because it's important to me to have clarity. I want every note and every nuance that I play, whether I change pickups, change my picking attack, my volume, I want that heard. So you need a certain amount of top end for that. The Two Rock has a very, very clear top end without being an ice pick or strident. It also has very tight low end. So normally you'll see me somewhere with treble just above half and middle and bass just below half. But of course that varies by amp, by tubes, by speakers. Speakers make an enormous difference, as I heard you speaking with Jeff and Eli about. So, but I'm looking for a very flat, even EQ response, but with enough clarity to cut through the mix in any form, because we're always looking for, I need the fattest tone ever, and that's a great thing, but if everybody has the fattest tone, then at the end of the day no one gets heard, because you're competing against each other. So top end is not your enemy.
Well said, man. Not necessarily a question, Josh, but a comment. Josh has the best t-shirts.
I would agree.
Yeah, I'll admit I put a lot of effort into the t-shirts.
Why not, man? Okay, this one's for you, Eli, which is, do you have any future plans for Two Rock to get into the pedal, category, or even guitar EQing?
we play around with it a lot. We have so many friends of ours that are great pedal builders that we kind of stay out of that market because we have so much fun playing other people's pedals. Every once in a while, Bill will get a kick and we'll build, a dozen pedals and play around with them. But we're 8 to 9, 10 months back ordered on all amplifier builds. We have our hands so full right now getting into pedals or anything. We just don't have the bandwidth. We're happy where we're at.
That's probably a good thing too, man. Stay focused on your thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh, set up another clip for us.
All right, let's do Penance, which is a ballad also from the instrumental record. Now on this one, you'll hear more of my normal chain. It's, same guitar, but with my Chula pedal in front, a slapback delay in front, and then into the clean of the amp, which again, like Eli said, mine has no master volume. So I think sometimes that helps make it even better with pedals and makes me more comfortable, but that's what you're hearing on this one.
Cool. Thank you for that, man. That's a perfect tune at the perfect time, I think. Also off of Inception, that one.
Also off of Inception, yeah.
Beautiful. Josh, I'm going to do a little housekeeping, the last one of the night. So give me a sec to do that. Go look underneath the video, please, everybody, and you'll find first the thumbs up. Click that to show a little appreciation and love for all of the artists, for Josh, for Eli, for everyone taking their time to do that, and for the team behind the scenes here. Tommy, Seth, Zach, Allie, Shane. I always forget somebody, but there's a big team making these things happen. Want to thank everybody again for their patience, and we had a little bit of an internet glitch and all that, but we got through it. And somebody just chimed in that they were a little late to the party. No problem. This thing goes on demand in our YouTube channel, minutes after we finished the live thing. Underneath the video, if you dig a little deeper after you've clicked that thumbs up, which we really appreciate, there's a check-in, and you could win a $100 gift card and buy all these artist courses at TrueFire with it. There's also a tip jar, and I cannot tell you how much that is appreciated. If you can afford to do so, whatever it is, 100% goes to the artists. There's also the Summertime Blues giveaway. Guys, can you show that, please? Our partner this month, this whole Summertime Blues promotion we're doing for 30 days, featuring all these, extraordinary blues artists, their projects here at TrueFire. Our partner is 2 Rock Amplifiers, and Eli has been kind enough to provide an incredible, prize pool. There's the 100-watt classic, the signature 2 Rock amp, and the cabinet. Somebody's going to walk away with one or both of those things. So Eli, got to thank you again for that. That's not going to hold up getting our 2 Rock in the studio, is it? Okay, it's all right. I'd rather you deliver this one first. We've waited. We can wait. But down on the list of links are Josh Smith links. There's his website there. His Instagram is there. But also you can get to his educator page, which we'll show right now. And Josh, I want you to just spend a moment or two talking about your TrueFire courses and how you approach Blue Highways, like the master classes. Tell us what you did with that.
Well, thank you, Brad. My TrueFire courses, I'm proud of them, and it's been nice to get the feedback from people who have gotten them and said it helped in some small way. So the first class, Blue Highways, was almost like an overarching approach to everything I think that makes me me. So you've got a little bit of, the jazz harmonic information. You got a little bit of like the hybrid picking and country technique information mixed with the love of the blues and the history and the things that I was obsessed with and loved. And kind of all those little tools that made me me. The next package, Blue Highways Improv Roadmaps, is when we really broke into how do you start using all this information that you've gathered and really honing in on your personal sound, your message, and how do you improvise in your way and find your voice. And I'm very proud of both courses. And
as you should be. And, if you go to that page, you'll see it's like straight 5-star reviews across the board. And both of these courses, number one with a bullet, as they said when I was growing up, they're killer. And also Josh has, I was really blown away, man, with the way you present your curriculum. You explain things in a way that, we can, it's very accessible. We get it. And then you pay it off immediately in a performance study, putting those techniques or those concepts to work. There's, I'll spend the rest of my life digging into both of those courses, but, superb job. The other thing that you did that's just damn fun is In the Jam. Yeah. So tell them what you did within the Jam.
So In the Jam is, me and my guys getting together, having a good time. And so we covered a lot of different grooves and vamps and even changes, not just straight blues, some blues with some changes and some information, where you could take the things you're learning in my courses and apply them, and also work on your rhythm playing. You can hear the way I comped, the way I listened to the band, how my comping reacted. So you can then play over that, and you can react to my comping, or vice versa. You can start to teach yourself, listen to my solo, and react as an ensemble player in the band. And those are the things I think that some guys, get so anchored in on, oh, I want to be the best soloist, and that's great. But we got another part of our job, where we're on the bandstand, and you got to spend equal amount of time on that stuff too.
Yeah, and so you've got, for those of you not familiar with our In the Jam multi-track video jams, you control the video angle. You can watch Josh playing, comping, or you can watch him soloing. You can mix it any way you like. And it's not just for guitar players. If you play bass, take the bass player out and, jump in the jam. Vocalists, horn players, you're all welcome. But my favorite part of that is, because it is a lot of fun and it is very educational, and we've tabbed it all out. But, it's the commentary, man. When you listen to the track and you tell us what you're hearing in your head and why you're doing what you're doing in response to what the drummer is doing, or what you're playing on rhythm guitar, that's golden, because it's all about that conversation on the stage with the band, right?
Yeah, it's real-time information, and you're right. I think that is one of the most interesting things about In the Jam. Even when I first did it and you guys asked me, oh, just talk about what's happening, I didn't know what I was going to do. But the second you actually start listening and go, oh, wait a minute, I was going to the 4 here, so it's easy for me to tell you I took a chromatic approach, or I played a 2-5-1 to lead us to this 4. And the reason I played it like this is because the drummer switched to his ride, so I brought up my dynamics, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are things that can help you, again, start to find your way of doing these things. It's not, you have to copy mine, but they'll open up your eyes and your ears to some new ways of thinking.
I know. That when we first started within the jams, we thought the commentary thing would just be like, a cute little add-on. But it turned out to be, educational gold, because how else can you really teach us, especially, players like myself that aren't touring all the time and doing festivals. We're so focused on what we're doing, we're not listening to what everybody else is doing. And those commentaries, man, just golden. Yours were brilliant, of course. And the other thing I want to talk about what you're doing is we're doing these online blues camps this month. It's the first, it's a brand new thing for us. Let's post a link in there. The camp is free. And basically how it works is we have a blues rhythm camp and a blues soloing camp, which you're doing, right, Josh? Who are you doing that with?
Not 100% certain, to be honest.
Wait. I'm going to find out in a minute. Hang on.
Scofield.
I just got to get there. Okay.
Kid Anderson.
You are doing the soloing camp with Matt Scofield and Kid Anderson, right? Okay. And what they've done is they've pulled out one of, a key lesson from one of their original courses, and then they're going to deep dive on it and show you a bunch of variations, preparing all kinds of like expanded curriculum to go with that lesson. And they'll present that live. If you RSVP, again, that whole thing is free. And then we're going to package it all out and transcribe it and slow-mo and, the whole TrueFire thing, and make that available for a song for anybody that, wants to download that. So Josh's camp with Matt and Kid is June 17th at 8 p.m. RSVP now. The seats are filling up very, very quickly.
And I do know I'm doing a deep dive on phrasing and time. So
nice.
We'll be talking about really, really using phrasing, time, and those type of things to make your solo pop. Not necessarily about the harmonic information. So.
Very cool. And so it's a brand new thing. Again, this whole this whole virus thing is like the, necessity, the mother of invention, everybody, artists, stuff we're doing together. We're all kind of pushing the envelope, if you will, to find new and cool ways to, you know, whatever, keep the music alive, keep teaching, stay connected. And this is one of those projects. So thank you, man, for participating in that. We're really looking forward to it.
Thank you. I mean, that's been one of the best things about this, you know, being locked down, I guess, is I've actually probably communicated and connected with so many more fans and just, you know, people than I ever get a chance to, because quite honestly, I have the time. So it's been nice, you know.
I know, you know, it's been crazy, man, because at the beginning of this, you know, it is still stressful for artists, right? And you know, I didn't know what to expect. I thought, you know, artists would be very depressed, and it's like, oh my God, you know, but I can't think of a single artist that certainly we work with, you know, and interact with, that hasn't made like incredible use of that time, writing, teaching. Look at you getting your whole video act together there in the studio and the lighting and, you know, doing the live stream things. It's just, man, it really does make me proud to be a part of.
Dude, I could show you this. I got all sorts of stuff. I could show you the big shot from.
Oh my God!
I got TrueFire going. I could show you the drum room, and you know, the main studio, the drum cam. I got it all.
Tommy, Jameen, you have created a monster in this guy, man. But
Tommy got many phone calls from me.
I'm sure he did. But listen, you know, what's also true, and I digress a little, which I guess I tend to do, but I'll stop in a minute. But what's true is we'll never go back to the way things were in the past. And all this stuff that we're doing now, online streams, online teaching, connecting via, you know, Zooms and whatever, it's going to be a part of, you know, the new landscape, you know, on the other side of this. So thank you so much for, you know, jumping on the bus and making it happen like you always do, and everything you do.
Well, let's just be honest too. Thank you, TrueFire. I mean, you know, TrueFire has been a game changer for me in terms of, you know, let's just be honest, in my income, you know, and my livelihood. And especially now, I mean, I'm supposed to be in Europe right now. I was supposed to be in Europe for the last 7 weeks straight, actually. And of course that all disappeared. So, I mean, the fact that even we can do these little things and I can continue pushing my channel and generate some revenue in the mailbox, I mean, it's very, very major in my life. And, you know, I can't thank you guys enough for supporting me.
Oh, stop, man. The truth of the matter is, you know, we're doing it together, right? We couldn't, either one of us could do it alone. So I'm just thrilled. And, you know, and I know I speak for everybody at TrueFire. We're just so proud of the things that we are doing together with all of you. We're proud of the things we're doing with guys like Eli and 2Rock, and, you know, and all of these things are happening because we're being pushed to make things happen, you know?
Yes.
Anyway, you got another clip for us?
I do. So on this clip, Canyon, also from the Inception record, I don't know why I went deep on the Inception album for these.
Well, I hope somebody publishes a link to show this record, because I think you're going to sell a few streams anyway.
This is the Strat with my fuzz and a little more delay, so you can kind of hear more of a pedal platform of the amp with different guitar and a different kind of tone.
Awesome. Roll it, Seth. No better way to ice the cake on this incredible rock experience today, man. Josh, I forgot to mention one thing that we're also doing that's brand new. You know, when you came in and you did Blue Highways both times, you know, we did a live broadcast in the middle of the session, right? And, you know, and you played to some of the backing tracks that we use in the course. But of course, you didn't play the same thing because you never play the same thing, right?
Right.
So, so many people were like, you know, you know, of tab transcription? Can I slow that down? Can I do the TrueFire thing with it? So, you and Tommy have been cooking up a new product called Live. Tommy, I think it's called Live Plus.
Yeah, Live Plus.
And we're taking that entire broadcast, transcribing, you know, all of the tasty bits and putting it into, you know, a TrueFire, you know, mobile apps, desktop apps, so people will be able to work with that content. So it's like a killer kind of product on its own, but a great companion product to the course.
Tommy brought it up to me recently, and I said, "Oh, that's interesting. You think people will be interested?" And then, literally less than 5 days later, I got a message in Instagram where someone had videoed with their phone YouTube saying, "What's going on in this that you were playing in the TrueFire Live? Can you explain this section to me?" I was like, "Oh, Tommy may be onto something here."
I know. No, Tommy, he's a genius, that guy, I'll tell you. So we're excited about that as well. I want to thank you so much, man, for prepping for this thing, for coming on live with us. Looking forward to the camp with you. Majorly looking forward to your next visit to the studio so we can do another round of projects together.
I just hope the baseball season will be in effect so it can come during the Yankee game.
I know Josh does tend to book his sessions around baseball season games. I hope so too, man. You had a good game the last time you came, right?
Yeah, we extra inning game. Yankees lost, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You guys hooked up some great seats, and we had a great time. Yeah.
Okay, well, look, you know, I'm a Yankees fan myself. You know, they can't win every time, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, Josh, thank you so much. Eli, hang with me just a second. But really appreciate it. The studio looks great, man. You know, can't wait to see you in the flesh. But until then, we'll keep zooming and doing this thing. Cool?
Indeed.
All right.
Thank you, Brett.
My pleasure. Later. All right, Eli, talk to me, man. How does it feel to be sitting there, you know, in your studio and watching just three of these guys do their thing and talk about their two rock amps? And how does that feel?
I mean, it's, you know, we're so proud of what we've been able to do, and have such a high respect and value for not only our customers, but the artists that choose to play our amplifiers. We know what a big investment it is to make music for your life and to invest in, you know, high-end gear in 2020. And, you know, we just have such a respect for everything the guys do. And probably very similar to you, I think the best part about our job is getting to work with these musicians and these artists, and we can get inspired from them ourselves. You know, text John, text me that lick, show me what you're doing there, and it's wonderful.
Exactly. And the thing that I think we respect and what makes us very, I think, similar companies is, you know, we really value the relationships we have with our artists, and they're very, very important. But we also value the relationship we have with our students, as you do your customers. You treat your customers the same way you treat Josh or Matt or Osnoy or any of these guys. And, you know, and I love your story, man. I mean, you know, you played it, you're a player, you've toured, you played with all these guys and worked your way into, you know, the dream of being able to, you know, bring Two Rock to its current state of like awesomeness, you know. Thank you, man, for doing this promotion with us this month and all your support. I think there's lots of cool things we're going to be able to do together, and appreciate you hanging out with us today. That's a really pleasant surprise, and for answering all of those questions. Just beautiful job. I appreciate it. And on behalf of TrueFire, we appreciate you and 2Rock. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
so much.
We'll see you next time, next Zoom.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We had a blast. I hope you had a blast. This goes on demand in a minute. It'll be in our, YouTube channel. So if you missed any parts of it, I think you're going to want to go back to the beginning and watch it all the way through. There's some killer insight, killer playing. And we just had a great time with, Matt Scofield, Jeff McErlain, Eli Lester, Josh Smith, and hats off to the entire TrueFire team behind the scenes, Seth, Frank, Tommy, Allie, Zach, Doug. Have I forgotten anybody, Seth? I always forget one person. Shane. There we go. Shane is the magic. All right, guys, later. We'll see you next time.